Felipe Massa has filed a lawsuit against Formula One, the FIA, and former F1 chief Bernie Ecclestone regarding the 2008 championship outcome. He's seeking a hefty $65 million in damages caused by losing to Lewis Hamilton. Does he deserve it? Stay tuned and see for yourself. As mentioned before, the lawsuit revolves around the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, which was later revealed to have been manipulated in the scandal known as Crashgate. This involved Renault driver Nelson Piquet Jr. deliberately crashing to assist his teammate Fernando Alonso. During the first ever race at Marina Bay, Renault driver Nelson Piquet Jr. intentionally crashed his car midway through the event. He reportedly felt compelled to do so under pressure, as the Brazilian driver sought to salvage his career following a challenging period with the Enstone-based team. The crash triggered the deployment of the safety car, benefiting Fernando Alonso by allowing him to seize the lead through impeccable pit stop timing. The Spaniard capitalized on this advantage and went on to claim victory. Meanwhile, Massa, who also pitted during the safety car period, suffered a devastating setback when he inadvertently drove off with his fuel hose still attached. This mishap dealt a severe blow to his championship hopes, especially after leading the race. Massa ended up losing the World Championship battle to Lewis Hamilton, who secured his first title. The championship was officially settled under the FIA's regulations when Hamilton received the trophy at the prize-giving gala after the season. However, the race became intensely controversial within a year. This was because, following his dismissal from Renault in mid-2009, Piquet Jr. came forward revealing that he had been instructed to crash intentionally. As the controversy surrounding the events of Singapore 2008 unravelled, an investigation by the FIA and the World Motorsport Council uncovered that most of the senior figures at Renault were implicated in the scheme, excluding Alonso himself. During an extraordinary meeting of the World Motorsport Council in September 2009, the ING Renault F1 team confessed to colluding with Piquet Jr. to orchestrate a deliberate crash. The FIA's statement said, Renault F1 stated at the meeting that it had conducted a detailed internal investigation, which found that 1. Flavio Briatore, Pat Simons, and Nelson Piquet Jr. had conspired to cause the crash, and 2. No other team member was involved in the conspiracy. The World Motorsport Council considers Renault F1's breaches relating to the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix to be of unparalleled severity. What's interesting is that the timeline back then indicated that Max Mosley and the FIA, along with Bernie Ecclestone and FOM, were only made aware of Renault's actions during the 2009 season. But an interview conducted by Ecclestone in 2023 shed light on details that reset this timeline back to before the conclusion of the 2008 season. This revelation pushed the timeline much further back than what had been previously accepted as the standard narrative. He told F1 Insider, Max Mosley and I were informed during the 2008 season what had happened in the race in Singapore. Piquet Jr. was worried about his contract extension, so he was under a lot of pressure and agreed. We decided not to do anything for now. We wanted to protect the sport and save it from a huge scandal. That's why I used angelic tongues to persuade my former driver Nelson Piquet to keep calm for the time being. Although Ecclestone has since retracted those statements, citing a lack of recollection of the interview, it's understandable that Massa would be intrigued. The interview raised questions about the legitimacy of the 2008 championship outcome. Given Massa's significant points loss in Singapore due to a pit stop error during Piquet's induced safety car period, the potential nullification of that race from the championship would undoubtedly alter the 2008 title result. Leading up to the F1 summer break in 2023, Massa initiated the groundwork for his legal challenge, asserting that the loss of the World Championship had resulted in significant financial losses for him. He also cited damages to his reputation and moral standing as part of his claim. He said, Since the very first interview, I've said I'm here to be recognised as world champion. This is the most important thing for me. This is our target. This is my target that I will fight until the end to be recognised as world champion for 2008. On August 15th, Massa's legal team reached out to both current F1 chief executive Stefano Domenicali and FIA president Mohammed Ben Sulayem with a letter before claim. This letter outlined the specifics of Massa's legal challenge, asserting that he was the victim of a conspiracy in 2008, implicating both organisations in an attempt to evade scandal. Massa received responses from both the FIA and Formula One management regarding his initial letter. However, he was disappointed to learn that due to key personnel being away during F1's annual summer break in August, it was deemed impossible to provide a formal response at that time. They requested more time to address the matter thoroughly. This led to a negotiation process to set a deadline before taking the matter to the UK High Court. Eventually, November 15, 2023, was agreed upon as the deadline. Massa proceeded to file the lawsuit in the UK High Courts. His legal team confirmed the filing of the lawsuit on March 11, 2024, through a statement issued by his representatives Vieira Rezende Advogados. They put out a statement that reads, "Attempts to resolve the matter amicably have not been successful so far, leaving, therefore, no alternative but to take the issue to court. Recent events highlight the continued relevance of issues of transparency and integrity in Formula One, and it is clear that serious work is needed to restore its credibility and secure its long-term future." Although the FIA investigation in 2009 concluded that it had never before considered charges as serious, even after the revelations brought forward last year, the results of the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix still stand and remain officially sanctioned by the FIA. The recent events mentioned in the statement likely allude to the recent revelations by a whistleblower, a former FIA employee now employed by Formula One management. They claimed that the current president of the governing body, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, allegedly attempted to influence the outcome of last year's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Additionally, it alleged that he urged officials not to certify the Las Vegas street track just days before the event. The law firm's statement continues. Mr. Massa is seeking declarations that the FIA breached its regulations by failing to promptly investigate Nelson Piquet Jr.'s crash at the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, and that had it acted properly, Massa would have won the Drivers' Championship that year. Mr. Massa also seeks damages for the significant financial loss he has suffered due to the FIA's failure, in which Mr. Ecclestone and FOM were also complicit. Interestingly, Ferrari has not yet backed Massa's claim, despite his tenure with the prancing horse at the time of the incident. Massa's challenge for the 2008 title raises implications for Lewis Hamilton. It's important to note that Hamilton, then driving for McLaren, won the title based on his performance, with no association with the controversies surrounding the Singapore Grand Prix. In an exclusive interview with Planet F1, Massa clarified that his decision to pursue the title through legal channels has nothing to do with harming Hamilton. Instead, his focus is solely on contesting the outcome of the manipulated race. Everything that we are doing is not against Lewis. I mean, I really respect Lewis as a driver for everything that he's done. He's one of the best drivers in the history of Formula One. So many records, with many titles. But what I'm doing is against the result of a manipulated race. At the point in the race where the manipulation happened, I was leading. I was first in that race. So it's nothing against Lewis. I really like Lewis as a driver, and he's doing a lot of things for justice. So many different kinds of justice in the world. I think one time he will need to speak and to talk about the situation. I think it's pretty clear I'm not doing anything against him. I'm doing it against the justice of the sport. When I am at home and I see my phone after the Bernie Ecclestone interview, after the Charlie Whiting interview in the Max Mosley documentary, that he knew at the last race of the season at Interlagos what happened in the Singapore race, and after my son knew about it, he asked me, "You are not doing anything." So, I'm doing that for justice. I really believe what I'm doing is correct because this is not acceptable. We're not talking about a broken engine or someone pushing me out of the race. We're not talking about the sporting situation. We're talking about the manipulation that changed the result. Bernardo Viana, Felipe Massa's lawyer, told Reuters, "He is an important ambassador for the sport and has always defended sporting integrity. He is an honorary Brazilian citizen and very well liked by Brazilians, so I hope he will support us. We have absolutely nothing against Hamilton. Hamilton himself has chosen not to comment on the matter, but others have." Former McLaren communications director Matt Bishop has criticised Felipe Massa's legal challenge over the F1 2008 World Championship, calling it ridiculous, and suggesting that the former Ferrari star simply wants financial gain. Bishop implied that Massa's motive for the lawsuit is solely driven by monetary interests. During an appearance on TalkSport Radio, Bishop, who served as McLaren's communications director from 2008 to 2017, strongly criticised Massa's legal action, describing it as ridiculous. He expressed his belief that the 42-year-old is simply seeking financial gain. Bishop acknowledged the manipulation of the Singapore race, noting that there was a sense within F1 at the time that Piquet Jr.'s crash seemed suspicious. He said, "Remarkable is one word for it. Ridiculous perhaps another. I know Felipe Massa. He's a fine driver and is a nice guy. But my view, and this is my speculation, I'm not speaking from absolute certain knowledge. I think somebody's got their shovel under him and has said, 'We can do something for you here. We can earn you a lot of money.' This happened 16 years ago. Lewis Hamilton won his first world championship. It seems ludicrous. My suspicion is he doesn't really think he's going to overturn the result and be declared world champion. He just wants a wedge of Wonga. Do you agree that Felipe Massa just wants a wedge of Wonga? Tell us in the comments section down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.